The lines were drawn and the battles had begun. The Civil War stood as a monument to the struggles of the day between North and South. As the war raged on, the conflict made its way south to DeSoto County in northwest Mississippi. With a bang, DeSoto County entered the Civil War. Union and Confederate forces clashed at the Battle of Hernando, where an unsuspecting regiment of Union soldiers were welcomed by a rebel yell and gunfire from Confederate troops.
Most people would be surprised to know that they could find one of the South's oldest Civil War monuments, not only at Shiloh and Vicksburg, but also right here in DeSoto County, erected in 1875.
There are many fascinating tales to tell about the Civil War in DeSoto County. You can relive some of them firsthand at the DeSoto County Museum in letters like these, written during the Civil War.
It was bad enough before we got into the fight at Gettysburg, which you have heard of before this time.
While those who fought in the Civil War have long passed, their memories still live on. In the end, 60 Confederate soldiers from DeSoto County died in the Civil War. Fathers, sons, and brothers alike will be forever remembered at this mass grave in Hernando Cemetery. From legendary battlefields to historic homes and cemeteries, the ultimate Civil War experience is just minutes away from Memphis and Tunica in northwest Mississippi, here in DeSoto County. Discover your DeSoto experience. Visit the DeSoto Visitor Center at I-55 and Church Road across from the DeSoto Civic Center, or visit sodesoto.com. If you want a real taste of Mississippi, pack a big appetite and come visit DeSoto County in northwest Mississippi. Kick back and take in some of the legendary local flavor. A mouth-watering steak, a milkshake that's out of this world, and the best fried catfish either side of the Mississippi. It's all here in DeSoto County. You can dine in or dine out at one of DeSoto County's many fairs and festivals. Western food, down-home food, whatever your mood, it's all just minutes away from Memphis and Tunica in northwest Mississippi. Discover your DeSoto experience. Visit the DeSoto Visitor Center at I-55 and Church Road across from the DeSoto Civic Center, or visit sodesoto.com. Like most of the Old South, African American culture in DeSoto County, Mississippi, centered around the church. Since the late 1700s, the church has historically been a source of inspiration and salvation for generations of African Americans in DeSoto County.
After the Civil War and the African Americans had begun to enter into the society of a free nation, they decided that we must do something to educate our children beyond the 8th grade. Usually, many of the classes were held in church sanctuaries, and we used the church on Mondays through Fridays for public school classrooms.
Realizing education was the key to freedom and prosperity, many African Americans in DeSoto County came here to the Baptist Industrial College in Hernando, Mississippi.
It was purchased in 1893 for $1,000. By 1900, the school was open, grades 1 through 12, and this school existed until 1960. The cornerstone down there was the cornerstone in the administration building. It's a reminder, back in 1900, when we didn't have a school to attend, and our foreparent worked hard to buy a building and build a school so that we might be able to achieve a high school education.
Following the Civil War and emancipation of African Americans, the Civil Rights Movement began. While the movement didn't start in DeSoto County, Mississippi, the shooting of a young freedom marcher on Highway 51 in Hernando in 1966 forever put DeSoto County on the map.
The African-American history has been very rich here in DeSoto County. We had one major civil rights event that occurred in 1966, and that was the shooting of James Meredith. James Meredith, obviously being the very first African-American to go to Ole Miss, decided to have a freedom march from Memphis to Jackson, Mississippi down Highway 51 to encourage African-Americans to vote. He left Memphis and was shot on Highway 51. There were several photographers with him at the time, and one of those was a photographer with Life magazine, and snapped a picture of him falling to the ground as he was bleeding. And that shot won the Pulitzer Prize for photography for 1967. And a lot of folks really feel that that image was the iconic image of the civil rights movement, shooting an African-American man just for walking down the road.
The civil rights movement forever changed the landscape of DeSoto County. Soon after, African Americans went from working in the fields to being government leaders.
There were not any African Americans on the school board until 1990. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was the first one to be elected. And it was often stated in the school board meetings once I was elected to the board that I wasn't given the opportunity to ride a bus to school, but a bus could not be bought for the school system unless I voted for it.
March back in time and explore African American history. It's just minutes away from Memphis and Tunica in northwest Mississippi, here in DeSoto County. Discover your DeSoto experience. Visit the DeSoto Visitor Center at I-55 and Church Road across from the DeSoto Civic Center, or visit sodesoto.com to learn more about all the exciting things to do in DeSoto County. When it comes to agricultural tourism in DeSoto County, you have a lot to pick from for entertainment. From working farms with acres of country fun, to one of the world's largest nurseries with the world's smallest trees, agritourism is growing fast in DeSoto County.
Agritourism is really booming in DeSoto County, and we've noticed that in the number of families that have come out together to pick and experience the farm.
There's a world of down-home fun waiting for you in DeSoto County.
We wanted to share this atmosphere with people, let them come and see what the country life is and how much we love it.
It's good for them to come out and experience a real farm, working farm, and see how they're producing their food, what's involved in growing those, and they can get a good feeling for farm agriculture.
Big city folks get a big kick out of experiencing life on the farm. There's something for little kids and big kids alike.
We have all kinds of fun activities for the kids to do. We've got a cow that they can milk. We have a corn grinder where they can make their own flour.
Out here, they actually get to pet the animals and touch them. And you know, a lot of times at the zoo, you can't actually touch the animals. You just have to see them from a distance. Here, they can interact with them and pet them and feed them.
When it comes to agritourism, sometimes you have to think small, especially here at Brussels Bonsai Nursery. With 60 acres and over 30,000 bonsai trees, there's a lot to enjoy.
We're happy to be in DeSoto County, and we think this is a great destination. It's become the largest bonsai nursery in the United States, wholesale and retail. We have the best trees in the country, the real high end, so a lot of people come through here to buy a little tree, a big tree, to get information. So it's a national destination as far as bonsai goes.
If you want to get a little dirt under your nails and some farm life under your belt, an exciting agritourism experience is just minutes away from Memphis and Tunica in northwest Mississippi, here in DeSoto County. Discover your DeSoto experience. Visit the DeSoto Visitor Center at I-55 and Church Road across from the DeSoto Civic Center, or visit sodesoto.com. From the cotton fields of northwest Mississippi to the juke joints of Memphis, the blues have deep roots here in DeSoto County. Thanks to the likes of local blues legends such as Joe Calicott and Memphis Minnie, the blues have grown to huge popularity through the generations.
People are drawn here to North Mississippi, for the blues. When I was 7 years old, Joe Calicott moved in next door to me. and I found out that he played. And he's probably a lot more popular now than he was then. He cut a couple of records in the 1930s, you know. Then in the 60s, he got rediscovered. Started going over to his house and asking if he'd show me some stuff, and he did. And rather than reading music, you know, he would just say, like, hit it like this, boy. I meet people all over the world that are playing hill country music, from Portland, Oregon to, you know, Paris, France. And it's just not about being sad, it's about getting over being sad, or, you know, getting rid of your blue feelings, you know.
While most of the juke joints have faded away with time, you can still relive the sounds and memories of the blues along the Blues Trail through DeSoto County. A good first stop is the DeSoto County Museum.
The blues in Mississippi obviously go hand in hand, and here in DeSoto County we had a number of blues artists that did grow up and live here. Many of them moved to Memphis, being so close to places like Beale Street and the recording industry to become more famous. Folks like Big Walter Horton, Gus Cannon, Memphis Minnie all resided here in DeSoto County but made their name elsewhere.
Blues musicians like Kenny Brown, Johnny Woods, and R.L. Burnside inspired artists of a different kind too, like Liz Bass, who's brought the rhythm and soul of the blues to life in her art.
Coon would come, and Kenny, and several other musicians, some people from Holly Springs, and they'd sit on the porch and play music. I took a lot of pictures of all these musicians playing, and so I decided to paint some.
While the sound of the blues has changed some over time, its heart and spirit lives on in today's music, thanks to blues legends like Don McMinn.
The blues has become an electric thing, but the blues, the old blues, is still in there. You can still hear it if you listen for it. And even in pop music, there's some of our blues in there. It comes from the inside, it's soul.
From rock and roll to hip hop to country, the power of the blues can still be seen and heard right here in DeSoto County at popular haunts like the DeSoto Civic Center and Snowden Grove Amphitheater.
Northern Mississippi is a perfect place for everybody to come and play. It is the crossroads in the United States for the touring acts. So the old crossroads, south of here. New crossroads, right here. This is where the music's happening.
The ultimate blues experience is just minutes away from Memphis and Tunica in northwest Mississippi. Discover your DeSoto experience. Visit the DeSoto Visitor Center at I-55 and Church Road across from the DeSoto Civic Center, or visit sodesoto.com.